What happens when the systems you rely on begin to fail? When money cannot be accessed, when shelves go empty, when digital identity no longer works? What would still function in your life and what would unravel before the week is over? As we've already seen on this channel, if you look back in every century and every empire, there were those who survived collapse. When Rome fell, when kingdoms burned, when plague emptied cities, the peasantry who endured were not the most powerful. They possessed key advantages that built resilience in the shadows, while others depended on courts and crowns. We're not as distant from them as you may think. Those same strategies still apply now. The system does not offer you permanence, it offers dependence. And when it fails, it certainly won't carry you. But you do not need to collapse with it, because the knowledge of how to survive has never disappeared. It is waiting in the soil in our hands and in the relationships we have yet to build. Because what worked in the past may be exactly what helps protect our future. Most people are not watching. Their attention is trapped, captured by distraction, guided by algorithms, and sedated by convenience. But systems are shifting beneath the surface. Financial architecture, food security, identity frameworks, all being rebuilt quietly around control and centralization. Those who notice early are not just informed, they're positioned. Awareness offers time to build, time to exit toxic dependencies, time to form local alliances and acquire real skills. If collapse comes suddenly, it's too late to react. But if you see the signals now, your resilience will look like foresight. You are not paranoid for noticing, you are simply awake while others sleep. We must look closely at our daily lives. What would collapse if access to money froze, or digital ID verification failed, or food distribution stalled? For many people, everything would collapse within days. Dependency has been normalized. Most people have no reserves, no cash, no tools, no skills, and no relationships outside the digital and centralized grid. Most people are not dependent because they are incapable. They are dependent because they were trained to be. From childhood, systems told you that safety comes from centralization, that real life happens online, that difficulty means something is wrong. These messages keep people from learning how to garden, build, forage, repair, barter, or collaborate. Dependency and forced participation in a monetized economy were never accidents. They were deliberate goals and operating methods for millennia. But it is reversible. Everything you did not learn in school is still available now. We can still become capable and we can still become useful. This is not about paranoia, it is about pattern recognition. Systems are built to scale and centralize. Yet people thrive through redundancy and locality. When the systems that promise efficiency begin to falter, survival belongs to those who can navigate life beyond the interface. The system thrives by offering convenience in exchange for compliance. This is not inherently wrong, but it becomes dangerous when you forget that participation is voluntary. I believe the key is selective engagement. That may not be firm enough for some, but in reality we must all choose our own path. After all, few can withdraw completely. It takes time to rekindle lost skills, whether it's food preservation, gardening, or animal husbandry. But one thing commonly leads to another, and skill and knowledge acquisition often becomes quite addictive. Use what serves you, withdraw from what you feel weakens you. There is wisdom in keeping one foot in both worlds. Remain registered where you need access to medicine or infrastructure. At the same time, build networks of food, community, and knowledge that do not rely on distant authorities. I don't see this duality as a contradiction. It's a strategy. The choice is yours. No one can force you to surrender your agency. They can only convince you to give it up willingly. There is now a thriving industry profiting from the promise of escape. second passports, foreign land, relocation coaching, and citizenship by investment programs, which are sold as salvation. In some cases, they buy time. They offer relief, perhaps a higher concentration of cash usage for the time being, but you cannot mistake movement for liberation. 98% of the global economy is piloting or rolling out digital currencies tied to identity and behavior. Geography offers less protection when control mechanisms become transnational. Running may certainly work for a while, offer a lower cost of living and so on, but sadly no border is immune to software. The real escape is internal. The real strength is decentralization of our own capabilities. The more you know how to grow, fix, build, and relate without asking permission, the less they can ever take from you. Of course, fleeing war, persecution, or extreme instability is not optional. It is survival. People escaping conflict zones are really refugees of empire's consequence. The need to flee violence is, of course, real, urgent, and valid. The system does not exist in the abstract. It lives in the choices people make every day. When you buy processed food from a screen, the machine grows stronger. When you buy a dozen pasture-raised eggs from your local farmer who respects land and animal, something else grows. Support the people who grow real food, repair tools, create by hand, and live honestly. Support businesses that are rooted in ethics rather than scale. Every coin you spend is an act of alignment or betrayal. Every purchase is a political act, whether you admit it or not. If you want a parallel system, you must be willing to support it with your time, money, and presence. The most powerful control system is not digital, it is psychological. Fear weakens people faster than any policy. A fearful person accepts terms that are degrading and unnecessary. A fearful mind becomes obedient, but fear is optional. If you shift your mindset from reaction to responsibility, everything changes. Your nervous system resets, your decisions become intentional. You stop handing your future to people who do not care about it. Strength is not arrogance, it is clarity. The system wants you afraid, so don't give it that satisfaction. Life without friction is hollow. Real meaning is actually found in effort. It is in growing food that takes months, in reading a book without receiving notifications, in preparing a meal with your hands. Analog living is not a rejection of technology, it is a return to sanity. Meditation, a slow walk without music or a podcast, a conversation with no agenda, a record that spins. These are not nostalgic gestures, they are anchoring forces. You do not need to explain them. We can live fully in the moment and honour its worth, because in truth it is all we really have. If money and identity systems fail tomorrow, what part of you would remain functional? What skills would carry over into a life without apps and passwords? Skills matter, relationships matter, trustworthiness matters, character matters. Not credentials, not clicks. The good news is you already know this. The bad news is that most people will not act until they are forced to. So don't wait for collapse to start. There is one truth rarely spoken. The system depends on you more than you depend on it. It needs your labour, it needs your data, it needs your taxes, your consumption, your belief in its permanence. The system is not self-sustaining, it is parasitic, and yet it thrives because most people forget their true power. The moment you stop feeding it your attention and obedience, it weakens. When enough people shift their energy, it cannot maintain its current shape. You are not a pawn, you are the foundation. They need your belief. Without it, they lose legitimacy. Without it, the system collapses under its own weight. You do not need permission to live differently. You do not need a revolution. You just need a garden, you need a friend down the road, you need tools you can fix, skills no one can take. This is not fantasy, it is happening already. People are remembering, people are rebuilding, people are saying no in 100 quiet different ways. You were never powerless. You were conditioned to forget. The real resistance is resilience and selective participation. And if you hope to wake others, don't waste your breath shouting into the void. The world doesn't change through argument. The system has always thrived on such tribalism. Real change comes through example. When people see a slower, richer, more rooted life, free from performative exhaustion and digital dependence, it stirs something deeper than words ever could. You won't convince them, you'll show them what is actually possible. And that is far more dangerous to the system. For now, it's time to remember. And once you do, you never go back.